going to introduce our guest, and I am so delighted to have an opportunity to have Dr. Andrew Campbell with us. He is well known far and wide, particularly within the education context and beyond. Dr. Andrew Campbell is an assistant professor of the teaching stream in leadership and racial justice and education in the Department of Curriculum, Teaching and Learning at U of T. He's well known across the OASI community, as I said, and beyond. And anybody who's had the great honor of listening to DR.ABC knows that one of the things he does is he goes deep and he goes wide, but he also has such a fantastic sense of humor. And he allows us to think deeply, but also to engage in an opportunity of camaraderie through the dialogue that he creates. So I'm so looking forward to having an opportunity to hearing from him. He also recently co-authored a book called Stop the Hate, for goodness sake. And it is a fantastic book for those of you who haven't had an opportunity to see it yet. So I'm now going to turn it over to our guest and to welcome Dr. ABC.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Camille. It is a pleasure to be here. I sit in the space, I'm listening to the conversation, listening to the history of the book club, which I absolutely did not know about as much as you just shared. And so that brought me joy. Brought me joy listening to the many ways in which, I don't know why, I'm just feeling very emotional. Listen to you all. That brought me joy. Just listen to the ways that you have been intentional about Black joy, Black space, Blackness, creating space for our young people, student voices. It's intentional. It's not magic. It doesn't just happen. A lot of things going on. I'm off script already, but let's go with it. A lot of things that go up in our society when it comes to our progression, our growth, our development. When we see representation, we see people like myself in very privileged white spaces doing the work that I'm doing. Persons like Cecil Roach and all other things. We think it just happens. It doesn't just happen. It's through resistance and resilience and work and growth and hope and healing and community and support and joy. And so when I'm listening to the history and you're shared with me about the history of the book club, I am smiling because it's intentional that you and I realize that when we talk about cultivating joy, it's intentional. It's not going to just happen. Coming to this session, none of us is going to walk away with all kinds of joy without being intentional about how we are going to cultivate it, protect it, sustain it, nurture it, water it, and then share it. And so for me, I'm just honored to be here. I just want to say big up to everyone. When you came in, I heard the congratulations to those who have paved the way, laid the foundation. And I just want to give my respect, my admiration as well, because that is important that we understand that somebody's building something for all of us. So I want to say thank you so much for having me. And hats off to the facilitators. When I got the invite and I saw on the flyer the list of facilitators, my heart was warm because as I look at the names and the people, I just said representation still matters. Showing up still matters. Speaking out and lending your voice when you're in position of privilege and power, it still matters. After all, the bandwagonists and the performers are gone. And I'm sure you realize that many of them are already gone. We have already been over anti-Black racism already. We are onto something new. After all of this, representation still matters. You and I still matter. Protecting and providing and cultivating that Black joy still matters. The words of Frederick Douglass says it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. So I'm happy that I see the young people in the room. There are many people around us who are broken by racism, colorism, anti-Blackness, hate, homophobia, transphobia. We see the trauma, the lack of community exclusion. So I am happy to be part of this conversation about how do we cultivate that joy that we need. That joy that we must have to continue doing like we do, surviving the way we survive it, taking care of ourselves like we do. I first came into contact with the word joy. I want to listen to, I want to share a story. I first came into contact with the word joy as a little boy going to my grandmother to spend summers with my grandmother's sister me in the beautiful parish of Portland, Jamaica. She was a farmer. She grew coffee, cocoa, oranges, apples, yams, you name it. My grandmother did it. She was an amazing farmer. And I would watch her get up at 5 a.m. in the mornings, getting ready to farm the land, attend to the farm, cultivate. She knew what seeds to sow in what season. I remember watching her use the Farmer's Almanac. You could Google it. There's such a thing called the Farmer's Almanac. She knew the significance of a long day, a short day, a new moon, the rainy season, the drought season. She was aware of insects and pests that impact her crops. She knew which pesticides to use. You may say, Dr. ABC, what does all of that have to do with joy? You invited me to speak, and the word you use is cultivate. Google it. Cultivate means to till, to plow, to dig, to turn, to farm, to fertilize, to mulch, to nurture. It's a farming word. It's a planting word. It's a growing word. It's a seeding word. It's an intentional word. So I want you to understand that when we use words, do not just get caught up with everybody else in grabbing onto a word and using it loosely without realizing the power, the value, and the intention. So I have a couple of minutes and I'm going to share with you 4 things I want to leave with you as we talk about cultivating black joy. The first one I want to leave with you is know your source of joy. Write it down. I know you're taking notes. First one, know your source of joy. The second one, know when your source of joy is running low, because it will. Number 3, know how to protect your joy. And number 4, know how much of that joy you need to give to others, because you will need to give that joy. Getting all the joy, cultivating all the joy, storing up all the joy and not giving it, it's useless. That is why you and I are here. That is why you're so inspired. That is why I see Vidya Shah. When I see you, Vidya Shah, we hug and we squeeze. I do not know much about Professor Vidya Shah, but I know whenever we have met in person, there is an energy, there's a joy. I see students of mine and I see you log on and my heart just starts smiling. It is a joy. And so you have to realize we don't just happen to have joy. We have to cultivate that joy. So whoever decide to write that as your theme, your topic for tonight, I want to say hats off. I've been talking about that for a while because we want to make sure we understand, especially as black people, that joy, we don't just get up in the morning and have the ease to just say, well, let me just walk outside and joy is going to just sprinkle. It doesn't work like that. Because our joy is constantly under attack. Our joy is constantly questioned. Our joy is constantly scrutinized and observed and regulated and watched. If you are sad as a black man, it's a problem. If you are angry, it's a problem. And I'm going to tell you this. If you are joyful like me, it is also a problem. People have used my joy to water down my educational excellence because somehow they feel I am not supposed to do PhD, University of Toronto, do all of this work and then live and seem clearly looking like I'm living my best life, like I'm shining like Rihanna's diamond, or like Beyonce, I woke up like this. There is a problem when people see that. And because of that, we have seen deficit thinking about how we see each other. So cultivating that joy is important. When I looked at your your screen and the reading you got, first thing came up was a picture of James Baldwin and Nina Simone. And so tonight I want to do something. I'm going to share you clips, 1 minute each of 4 songs that goes with 4 of my questions. And the first one is going to come to us from the great Nina Simone. Take a minute and listen to it. And as you listen to it, I want you to think about, what are you feeling? What are you thinking about? What are you hearing? And feel free to type it in the chat box as you listen, because the chat box is ours. It's not locked, it's ours. So as you listen to this 1 minute clip of the great Nina Simone, first question is, what is your source? What are your sources? What is your source of joy? So let's listen to Nina Simone, everybody.
Now you know how I feel.
Stop right there. We stop right there. Ask yourself, what are you feeling? You could type that in the box. You could come with me. Let's go in the chat box. What are you feeling? It brings memory. So think about that. And I particularly choose Nina Simone, and I'll get to her a little bit more later. The powerful voice that she has, the powerful presence that she has, the powerful work she has done. It says, know your source of joy. And I want to ask everybody to think about, what are your sources of joy? What brings you joy? And if you say to me, Dr. ABC, I really do not know, I'm going to tell you that's your first summer homework. Ask yourself, what are the things that bring me joy? Who are the people that bring me joy? What are the circumstances and the spaces that many of us, we are constantly in spaces that do not bring us joy, and we expect to have joy. You are like a joy fraud. I just make up that term. It's not in the Bible or in the book or anywhere. You can't Google it. It's my term. You're a joy fraud because you're in spaces that constantly suck your joy, take away your joy, but you are still in those spaces. Ask yourself, where am I? What gives me joy? What brings me joy? Who bring me joy? And think about why you need to sustain that, why you need to cultivate those spaces. So that's the first one. The second point I want to make is, know when your source of joy is running low. There's a song that many of us know. It's a Negro spiritual, A Little More Oil in My Lamp. I'm going to play a clip for you in a minute. And it's a Negro spiritual. And the song kept many of our ancestors, you hear Cecil talk about that, those who chose the watery grace 400 years ago. And you have to think about, through enslavement and hardship, they sung. They didn't sing because they were happy. They sang because when they knew that this song would keep them, because they knew they were running low constantly. What oil do you need? How much oil do you need? I have brought questions tonight. I know you're saying, well, Dr. ABC, you're the guest speaker. Maybe you should have brought some answers. I'm going to tell you no. Bringing you questions is more important for me. What oil do you need? How much oil do you need? I feel to repeat that for somebody. My spirit says repeat it for somebody. How much oil do you need? Because some of you do not know what you need. And so you're constantly sad. You're constantly down. You're constantly wrestling with yourself. You're constantly unhappy because you do not know what you need, and in what measure do you need to maintain, to sustain, to protect your joy. Are you honest about when your joy is running low? I've had people ask me all the time, Dr. ABC, you look like you're always happy. And I said, no one, absolutely none of us is always happy. But what has kept me listen me carefully, what has kept my joy real, full, and intact is that I am aware of my measure of joy at any time. I am aware when it is full and free and bubbling over. And I am very much aware when my joy is weak and fragile and under attack. My next clip, 1 minute clip, comes to you from the Nyabingi order, Rastafarianism in Jamaica, the Nyabingi order, singing the song, A Little More Oil. I want you to listen to the rhythm and type in the box, what do you feel? So that's a song, a little more oil in my lamp, keep it burning. And if you Google that song, the Negro Spiritual, and Google the history of it, you understand why we say a little more oil, keep it burning till the break of day. My third question to you, first one, know your source of joy. Second one, know when your source of joy is running low. And the third one, let's get into it. How knowing when to protect and how to protect your joy. So I'm going to do something right now. Remember we started with Nina Simone. And remember we started with Nina Simone singing Birds in the Sky, You Know How I Feel. And I want you to listen to this other clip from Nina Simone. In a time when Black Joy was under attack. Listen carefully. In the song Mississippi Goddamn, listen to me carefully. The iconic protest song of Nina Simone encapsulates the profound turmoil of 1963, the murder of Medgar Evans in Mississippi, the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Alabama, and the attacks of vicious dogs against non-violent freedom fighters. Many of you have seen pictures of white policemen letting bad dogs on our black students who are protesting back in the 1960s. She sang this song in the middle of Black Joy. I want you to understand there is resistance and there is resilience. She was bold, she was brave, she was courageous. All the words so many of us are using these days, but we are doing absolutely nothing. In the midst of joy, in the midst of all of that, joy and hope, we still resist. So when you say cultivate black joy, it's not about always being happy, always laughing, always having a good time. I know we see pictures of black joy out there and we represent it a certain way. But in order for us to keep that black joy, cultivate that black joy, we have to make sure we resist. And so I'm going to give you one clip of that as well. One clip. Listen to her how she stood up in the midst of what was happening. And she says, Mississippi, goddamn, she called it out. Watch me carefully. Please stop sharing. Give me a minute. Let me get to that clip. Don't worry. I have it right here. Wonderful. Let's get into that clip.
Alabama's got me so upset.
Look at her face. Look at her heart.
She made me lose my rest. And everybody knows about Mississippi gone down. Alabama's got me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest. Everybody knows about Mississippi gone down. Can't you see it? I know you can feel it. It's all in the air. I can't stand the pressure. got me so upset, and Governor Wallace has made me lose my rest. Everybody.
You notice that she called out the governor in the midst of what we're doing. That is what it looks like. So for cultivating black joy, I want you to understand resilience and resistance is a part of that. It's not how we're going to a happy moment. You have to understand, to be who you are, to remain who we are, somebody has to resist. And so in closing, I want to leave with you the fourth one. How much joy do you have to give? Tonight, I saw, when I logged on, I saw community. I saw leaders. I see you, Camille. I see you, Professor. I see you people. And you are here in a fertile space. Cultivate. In a fertile space. Cultivate. With seeds in hands. Cultivate. With bucket water in buckets. Cultivate. With plows and machete and ground fork. Cultivate. Look into the sunset. Cultivate. Looking at the weather, if it's rainy season or dry season, cultivate. I see you are prepared to cultivate. And in doing so, what you have done is demonstrated my fourth point. How much joy do you have to give? How much joy do you have to give? Our community needs joy. Our youth need joy. Our classrooms need joy. Our playgrounds need joy. Our space of resistance need joy. There's so many people who I see are fighting and resisting and fighting anti-black racism and anti-blackness and Afrophobia, but they have lost so much of their joy. It's tiring work. It's every work. And so when you see me out doing what I do, I want you to understand it's intentional that I'm cultivating that joy. And the last word I have for you is make sure you take that joy and you give to others. I used to sing a song back as a Sunday school. You know, I can't separate, many of us can't separate church from us. If you Google it, if you go into the history, that's what kept us in many times. And a song we used to sing back in church that says, love or joy is something that you give it away. You give it away. You give it away. Joy is something that you give it away. And it comes right back to you. We used to say when I was 6-year-old, I said, it's just like a magic penny. You hold it close and you don't have any, but spend it, lend it, or give it away. It comes right back to you. So thank you for having me. Thank you for having me be here. I'm leaving here with so much joy. I brought joy. I did. But I'm also living here with joy. Every time I look at some of your faces, facilitator up there, Jacqueline, your smile gives me joy. Every time I look at you, I'm drinking up the joy coming from you. Thank you for what you do, all of you. All of you. Let us not walk away and just think that we get the luxury of having hashtag unbothered joy. There is no such thing. There is no such thing. When you see me make a post on social media and I put hashtag unbothered, it's either I am literally living my best life somewhere unbothered and couldn't care less what's happening, or I have just done something in the face of oppression and marginalization, and I have just resisted and I am unbothered afterwards. So thank you for having me. I know you're going to have a blast in your breakout rooms and doing all the amazing things that you're doing. Enough love, Camille. Enough love, leadership team. Enough love. Remember, know your source. Protect that source. When you're low, know how to fill up and take all of that joy and give it to somebody else. I feel the joy. Camille, you better take this mic from me. You better take this mic from me because I feel all this joy. Go ahead, Camille. Thank you, thank you, thank you for having me.
No, thank you. And I'm going to actually turn it over to Vidya, who is going to formally thank you. But this is absolutely incredible. Thank you.
Dr. ABC, you are leaving us tonight with so much joy in our hearts. And it is, no one can do that like you can do that. And I just want to say from on behalf of all of us, thank you not just for tonight, but for the ways that you bring joy in everything that you do. And to have your grandmother invoked in this, and to have Song and Nina Simone and others invoked into here. As you were speaking, there's a massive thunderstorm happening. I'm not sure where you are right now, but there's a massive thunderstorm happening. And for some reason, every time you would say something, mic dropping, the thunder would start to roar. And so, from all of us to you, big hearts. I hope you're seeing the chat and the way
I
that it's
see
flowing.
it. I see it. I'm full. I'm full. Thank you.
So are we. So are we. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you.